Hi, I'm Sean Reardon, Mayor of Newburyport, and welcome to the latest edition of the Mayor's Corner. I'm back in the office this week. We had a huge Yankee Homecoming. I was out of the office for both of those, on location for Yankee Homecoming, which was really fun. It really was an incredible week. And you think about my first year in office with Yankee Homecoming, it was just so hot. That whole summer was a big heat wave, right? We got no rain. So this summer it's been completely different, right? We had a really wet July. But wow, did we get a perfect week for Yankee Homecoming. And I want to say, except for the Saturday of the Brew Fest, even though we got 2 hours in, we got some late rain that night. And then Friday, we ended up canceling the music. I say we. Yankee Homecoming ended up canceling the concert downtown because there was a threat of thunderstorms. But besides that, oh my God, we had a perfect week here in Newburyport. And I can't even tell you all the compliments I've received from this office about how great Yankee Homecoming it was. So just hats off to our chairs of the Yankee Homecoming, Jen and Jason LaCroix. I want to thank the board, as always, for working with them, and then for the board working so well with all of our city departments. We always have a post Yankee Homecoming meeting, like a wrap up and a debrief of how the week went. So we're going to have that in the next couple weeks. So I look forward to that. But I mainly want to thank all the volunteers that helped out with Yankee Homecoming. So, I mean, again, it's no secret. I love Yankee Homecoming. I try to get to every event I possibly can. I get to speak at a lot of the events, which is really fun too. But I always highlight the fact that this is a volunteer-run event, and it was the 65th year here in Newburyport that residents have been stepping up to put this on for the community. And like I said, we had a great week of weather, and it was just really just phenomenal being out and about around our great city. So again, I can't wait till next year. But I wanted to thank everyone again for a great Yankee Homecoming. So we've had, I've talked about this before, but we've had a nice little break here, right? So we haven't had a school committee meeting since the beginning of June. And then City Council's been off the last couple weeks. So I'm here to report that the school committee met on Monday. We had our retreat. And we also had a business meeting in front of that. So it was great getting that group back together. So typically we have a retreat around this time, usually around Yankee Homecoming, beginning of August, and we just kind of talk about the year that's coming up, right? We have a great check-in with our superintendent, Sean Gallagher. We talk about goals. We talk about goals for the superintendent and goals for the district for the year. We also talk about goals that we could possibly set as a school committee. And we've talked about this a lot over the years, but I don't think we've ever really formalized it. So this was a really great conversation. So we're going to continue having that once we get back into regular business meetings. And then we'll formalize some great goals around a lot of different topics for our schools this year. And then we also talked about policy, different policy changes that we could make coming up. There'll be a lot of things that we look at this year, like bus contracts, and we looked at final numbers for each grade level this year, and whether there was still some seats we could open up for choice and things like that. I still would like to look at possibly school city employees who live outside Newburyport, possibly having their kids go to Newburyport, just seeing if that's even possible. I know that some other districts do this, so we're going to look a little bit more than that and work with our attorneys and still talk about those things. But I'm excited for the school year. My kids are not quite there yet. I think we're lucky we have a little bit of a later start this year because we go back after Labor Day, and because we've had so much rain, I'm really hoping we have a nice, beautiful couple weeks left. I'm actually taking next week off, and I say that I'm not going anywhere, but I'm going to try to stay out of the office. So it's like the 1 week that my kids don't have camp. My wife's taking off work, so we're hopefully going to do a lot of family bonding during that time, and hopefully we get some great weather. But it looks like it's going to be a great week. So I'm excited to get out of the office for a little bit and spend some time with the family. So I mentioned school committee. So City Council is back on Monday. So then the 14th will be their first meeting since last month. And they've got a lot of things that are coming up. I don't think it's as busy as I thought it was going to be in August as far as what we were going to get into council for discussion. But there's a few things in there that will definitely be talked about in the next coming meetings. First is that bond that I sent in for our streets and sidewalks. This is a bond that will give us 5 years of funding to add to the other funding that we get from the state and on the city side to give us like a $2 million pocket of funds that we get to spend on streets and sidewalks over the next 5 years. Again, this will tie into that rolling plan. Speaking of the rolling plan, I am having our new DPS director, which I can't say new anymore, he really started in the beginning of May, but Wayne Amaral is putting his touches on that plan. I think the plan was a good start for him, but again, since he's going to be the one overseeing this work, I really wanted him to put together the right plan, and so we'll post that when it's ready, but he's really going through every bit of that so we can account for every dollar, and we can really prioritize the streets and the sidewalks that need to get done. And then that pocket of money that we put into the budget this year too will be used for that, for the sidewalks, for traffic calming, for safety. So all those things will be incorporated into this plan. So we're working our way through that. Short-term rental units was submitted again, and that should be talked about by the council. I am starting to get some emails about that, and I love hearing from them. I will just remind everyone, is email your counselors, because they're the ones that ultimately will decide this. I think from the city side of it, we just need them to decide on something so we know what to enforce. And that's why it's been very frustrating for on the city side to deal with this, because there are things right there that we just need to formalize. So again, reach out to your counselors, let them know what you think about short-term rentals, and I'm looking forward to that conversation, and hopefully we can get to some consensus around what's been submitted, and so we can get something on the books around short-term rentals. So I'm looking forward to that. Lower Atkinson, so again, Pioneer League, Lower Atkinson, we did submit that in our budget to be used for ARPA funds to be used for that. So hopefully in the next coming weeks, we'll have a couple meetings around that, and so hopefully the council can give us approval, because we would love to do that work this fall. So that's our goal for the Lower Atkinson, so that should be coming up. Bartlett Mall, we should be coming with final design for Bartlett Mall and final approval from City Council. So again, they've already approved the CPA bond for that, but there was a stipulation in there that they wanted to see final costs and final designs for that. So we're going to show that to them, and hopefully we're right on our target number, and we can move forward with that project. That will start this fall. Again, the first all accessible playground in Newburyport will be up at Bartlett Mall, and all this other work is contingent on us getting this approval from City Council. So again, pay attention to that. And finally, NYS, and I've talked about this a lot. So again, 59 Low Street, we're working on design. We should be in the next couple of weeks here, we should have full design. So once we have full design, I actually got a cool 3D rendering that you could actually walk through and check out the building, which was really cool. I didn't do a great job navigating through it, but it was great to have that visual. So we're going to end up setting up a meeting, hopefully with City Council, a public meeting around this project. And then once we have the project meeting done publicly and gotten some feedback, and again, I'm also going to turn in paperwork to officially establish the Recreation and Youth Services Department as an official department in the city. That was never done in the past, so we want to make sure we're going to send in the proper paperwork into the council to formalize that, and then have a clear vision of what the Recreation and Youth Services Department does. And then we're going to formalize that moving forward. And once that happens, and then once we have all our boxes checked for the design and what the cost is going to look like, and then we're going to approach council for a vote. Like I said, I would like this to happen before the election, just because I think this is such a big election topic. It's been great seeing so many people pull papers officially and now are on the ballot. So we have a couple primaries coming up too for Ward 4 and School Committee. But you can already tell everyone is talking about youth services as being, or the 59 Low Street location for the Recreation and Youth Services Department being the big topic of conversation. So I think it'd be great if voters knew where councilors stood on that. So the plan is to hopefully get that in front of them before our election, but I'm not going to bring anything to the council until I feel like it's ready. So we're going to keep working through that process, and I'll keep you up to date as far as where we are with that. What else is going on? Downtown flooding. We had 2 days ago, we had some crazy rain that happened really quick and dropped a lot of rain in a short period of time. And we talked about this with the Market Landing Park, right? That for years, I mean, and someone came in, one of the residents around the Bullnose and around the bottom of State Street and the connection of Merrimack and Water, came in with emails and letters that went back to when Richard Sullivan was our mayor, Dick Sullivan, back in the 70s, complaining about the flooding on this area. So this has been a problem for a long time. And anytime, and again, I've worked on State Street in various jobs in the past, anytime you see a hard rain, I mean, that is just a river rushing towards the bottom of State Street. And again, all those businesses are affected by that. So I went down to check out the damage. The water had already receded by the time I went down, but I did get to talk to some of the business owners down there, and they're incredibly frustrated. And a lot of it, was based around how we've diverted some of the funds that were going to go towards the culvert to this Market Landing project, which is completely fair. But I will say, if we had finished the culvert project completely at this point, the rain that we got 2 days ago wouldn't have been able to handle that amount of water. So you'd still have some of these problems, right? And that's no excuse. That's just the reality of it. So again, for two things, I think we're on the right path. I think the Market Landing Park area that's going to be done, that culvert, 40% of it is going to be done first, which will take care of the drainage there. And then we've got to work on this other 60%. And there's a couple of different avenues we can go with that. So we do have DPS and engineering working on what the next steps are down there for the Market Landing, the Market Square culvert project. And again, that's going to have some effect on State Street as well. So we're going to have to look at State Street as well and how that part of the project. So again, my heart goes out to the business owners down at Market Square because they've been dealing with this for decades. But I think we're on a path to get something done here in the next, in the coming weeks and months and years to really finish that project down at Market Square. A couple other things, brown water. I'm getting a lot of questions about brown water. And there's no consistency to it, right? This isn't a hydrant flushing situation. We're seeing some brown water at one house in the south end, and then we're seeing it down the other end of town in another house, right? What happened was with all this rain and all the runoff into our reservoirs, some of the levels of chemicals in our water are high, our nutrients in are high. Manganese is one of them, and Amesbury actually is just going through this thing too. The manganese levels are really high, so we put chemicals under the water to balance that out. So we test the water every day. The water is completely safe, but there are this brown water. So I would say if you're out there and you're getting brown water still, first try to flush it out. You run your cold water. Try to flush that water out. If you still have brown water, please call our Department of Public Services. Call DPS. We need to know where the brown water is. I'll be honest, I had it in my house about a week and a half ago, and I haven't had it since. But I also just heard a neighbor reach out to me about it, and they had it. So again, it's not consistent. You're not going to see it at every house around you. All right, it's not by location. It's about the different water levels that are pushing through the system right now. So again, if it's happening to you, I apologize, but please reach out, and we are all over it. But it's helpful to us to know where the brown water is. Lastly, we had a ribbon cutting yesterday at Market Landing Park. We're excited about that. It's going to affect parking downtown. I have a meeting tonight, so I'll be coming out with some more information around parking. I know it's going to be difficult. These projects that are taking place, it's going to be a disruption to what we're used to downtown for a little bit. But the end result is going to be such a benefit to everybody. But we are working on some temporary solutions around parking, particularly for employees downtown. And lastly, I just want to say happy birthday to my wife, Jessie. Her birthday is Friday. She is turning 40 years old, so this is her last day in her 30s. I hope we have a great weekend, and then again, we're taking off next week, so I hope we have a great week celebrating you, celebrating this big milestone of 40, and having a great week with our kids. And that's my Mayor's Corner. I hope you enjoy the week. Again, we got some great weather coming up, and I will see you all next time on the Mayor's Corner.